Hello and welcome to the Corner Post Podcast, episode number 1. I am Seth Carl, and joined with me on the telephone is my co-host Mia Moon.
Hello.
Hello, Mia. And today we're going to talk about, well, what else? The French pay-per-view, or PLE, or whatever they're calling it in French these days. I'm talking about Backlash. It just happened the other night, and it was, dare we say, phenomenal. No, the crowd was crazy. Anyway, let's do a rundown, exactly what we thought of the matches. Mia, I want your input on this, and you watching at home, let me know, do you agree, do you disagree? What's the deal here? So the first match of the night, Bloodline, that's Solo Sikoa and Tama Tonga versus Team RKO, that's Randy and Kevin. So, we got a new member of the Bloodline, but let's talk about the match first. What did you think?
Well, I really love the energy that MFT and now the new Tonga bring to the
New Tonga. Yeah, it's going to take a while to remember. And those of us that aren't fluid in Samoan or haven't been watching Japanese wrestling for a while. Yeah, Tonga Loa, who is brothers with a lot of Tongas, with Tama Tonga, the MFT. And we know what that stands for, right?
We know.
We know. Yes, we do. We're not going to curse here, or at least we're going to try not to curse here. But the M stands for mother.
Motherfucking Tonga.
You did it already. Okay, yep. Rule number 1 of Wrestle Club is out the window. Now we've done that. Okay. So, what do you think of the match? It was kind of all over the arena before settling in the ring. Is that hard to follow? Was that more enjoyable? What do you think?
Normally, I'm not a super fan of that, but I thought it was great in this one. Anytime you've got Randy Orton and Kevin Owens fighting outside of the ring is just as amazing as in the ring. And I really, like I said, I really love the energy that the Tongas brought to the match. The whole thing was entertaining. Sometimes I find myself zoning out a little bit in those backstage brawl type matches or outside the ring matches, but this one was really entertaining.
Yep, I thought they were all over the arena. Normally, I think a little goes a long way once you're out of the ring. The camera angles get a little wonky. The French crowd, God only knows what they could have done, would just make it about themselves and pull all the attention. Who knows? But it was a blast, and I thought they did just enough outside the ring. And of course, we knew that was going to happen because that's kind of like the Kevin Owens specialty. And you and I have talked about this before with my love-hate relationship with all that is Kevin Owens. But I thought the match had very, very good movement to it. It started on the floor, ended up in the ring. No trash can was safe. Tama Tonga, the kendo stick mark on his back was just... I felt that thing sitting in my living room. That was nasty. Who said wrestling isn't real?
Right?
Seriously. I thought it was solid. What do you think of the finish? Tonga Loa showing up, pulling the ref out of the ring, and then new member of the Bloodline.
I thought it was great. It was a great way to introduce him. Kept my attention the whole time.
You know what my favorite part? Yeah. Paul Heyman's face.
He's so good.
He had no idea.
Sometimes I'm sick of looking at him, but he's good. He is good.
Yeah. He had no idea it was coming for storyline purposes anyway.
It was played perfectly.
And I love it. And we're left sitting at home wondering, is he playing a role? Is he really in on it and knows what's happening and is just trying to make it look like he's not involved in this Bloodline takeover? Or is he just kind of covering his ass and making sure he's not the next victim of the Bloodline?
That's a good take.
Ooh, could go either way.
Definitely with him.
Maybe he's playing a long con on Roman. Who knows? So who do you think the new tribal chief is? Is it Solo? Is The Rock pulling the threads from behind?
I think maybe The Rock's pulling the threads from behind, and we're just kind of waiting until he gets a break in the rest of his busy life to come back. And but one thing I do think is interesting about The Rock not being here right now is that they're still selling out arenas, and he's not on the bill for all these, and it's still working for them. So
I love that.
It's an exciting time in wrestling.
Because he was telling everybody that he made wrestling cool again, and he's back in Hollywood, and wrestling is still cool. So whether he,
I think it's fair to say that he helped jumpstart some parts of it, but it's got such a great momentum right now that it doesn't need him every week.
I can't argue with that at all. Okay, so on a star, let's do the Meltzer star rating. 1 star, 5 stars. It goes up to 5, although I think Meltzer broke his own rules not long ago.
For their match, I'd give it a 5 star. I think it was great. It gave me everything I wanted to see in a match, and
5. That's high praise.
I don't need to be stingy with it. I mean, they did a great job. It was entertaining. It was high energy. There weren't any times where I could be like, "Ooh, you made a mistake," you know?
Yep, I didn't catch, or at least remember now, 2 days removed, any botches, so that's a plus. It was good. I'm gonna kick it at 4.5, only because I'm not the biggest fan of the street fight hardcore match.
Fair.
Yes, there's a place for it, but from where I sit, it settles the feud. You build to that, and I felt like we had a little bit of backstage brawling for the last few weeks, but I think it may have been too early to pull the trigger on a gimmick match. But
I think it was the right time.
Okay. We will see where it goes, because I got a feeling these guys are not done with each other, and there's obviously more to come with the Bloodline storyline. So next on the card, we had was it the women's triple threat? Was that the second match of the night? My orders, I watched the pay-per-view out of order because you can't rewind it with Peacock anymore. So
who's waking up at 9 a.m. to watch a pay-per-view?
It was credit where it's due this time around. It was 1 o'clock, but I had stuff to do, and I like watching the pay-per-views in the evening.
Yeah.
So I got the last 2 matches, and then the first 3 went on the replay. So I don't know. I can't remember what order it's in, but this is the order we'll talk about it. The women's triple threat match: Bayley, Naomi, and Tiffy Time.
I wasn't an immediate fan of Tiffy Time, but I've watched her wrestle now, and I think she's amazing. She's one of those people who just have it. It just clicks for them in the ring, and I'm really buying what she's selling, and her moves are great. I think she actually, I'm going to even go so far as to say that she's blowing some of the other female wrestlers out of the water, even a few of the veterans.
Yeah. Was shots fired? Mm-hmm. No, okay. No shots fired on the veterans, but seriously, she's impressed me in the relatively short time she's been doing this. I know, and I don't know if you know this, but she got into this business basically seeing Charlotte Flair on TV and going, I can do that. And she's basically proved it right. I mean, I'm not saying she's Charlotte Flair. Nobody is on Charlotte's level. As far as I'm concerned, although where her level sits right now with her at home, who knows? But she is. I mean, she's like 2 years into this business. She's very, very green still, and just killing it every time she goes out there. Naomi, I'm probably gonna get some heat for this in the comments, but I've got to ask: do you think Naomi has maybe lost a little bit of her edge since coming back?
Say that she has, but
it's not just me.
Her gimmick and her music was some of the edge, and it's feeling a little bit stale now, unfortunately.
It's the newer music, but it's the same thing. Yeah. And I mean,
but it's 10, 12 years. I don't know how many years have passed now.
She's been glowing.
It's getting a little stale.
She's been glowing for a while, and when she was in Impact / TNA, that it was the same glow gimmick there. I'm not knocking her. She's an incredibly talented athlete, and she can do stuff that I will never, ever in a billion years be able to do.
Crazy athletic.
Very, very athletic. It's just, I don't know if she is, maybe there's some type of injury or soreness that she's rehabbing, or if being back on the road with the WWE schedule is a bit more grueling and she's not getting enough sleep. I just feel like I feel like she's coming in at like a 9 out of 10 or an 8 out of 10, like energy level and confidence level. And maybe it is confidence. Maybe she came back hoping to be in, the main event picture. She went out. She's a former women's champion. She's a former tag team champion. She's got accolades. So maybe she was hoping to come back in and be in the picture. And she did a month worth of backstage vignettes and whatnot, putting other people over. Maybe that's just getting to her. I don't know. I just feel like she's capable of just a little more than what we're getting. And I'm not knocking her. Again, she's doing stuff that I know I could never, ever in a billion years do. I just feel like there's a bit of the energy that's maybe she's just blown up getting into the ring. That again, I know if I was dancing to the ring,
Whew.
not only would I be on my ass a few times over, but I would be blown up before throwing the very very first clothesline or whatever. But
Yeah, I've always been a fan of hers, and I'm still a fan of hers. There just seems to be something a little bit missing now. But maybe in a few months when we're seeing her more and more, and she's more ingrained in it again into the WWE lifestyle, maybe it'll change. Maybe it'll click.
that's possible
Maybe
too.
it's the people she's matching up with.
Yeah, and you got to
Time
remember,
will tell.
and you got to think, her husband's on SmackDown with her, Jimmy Uso, and they are probably traveling buddies, and they've got kids at home and all that stuff. And now he's out with injury. Maybe her whole routine is just thrown off being on the road, driving around with somebody else, and worrying about who knows.
Probably his too.
I'm just saying. I feel like she's got more to give than what we're getting.
Yeah,
And
I
I think
agree.
that's
I think that's fair.
Thank you. That's all I wanted. It was somebody to tell me that was a fair assessment. The match itself, we've kind of gone on a tangent here. The match itself, I thought was really, really solid. Bailey is one of those wrestlers that it's so easy to forget how good she is because she spends so much of her time making everybody else look good while she looks average. Um, and I think that's her gift to the wrestling business. Back in the 80s, they used to call them carpenters. I don't know if you've ever heard that term before.
Yeah.
But it's the people that they build the other wrestlers. They make them look good. And she has that kind of a vibe. And I think the casual fan may not pick up on it. I think those of us who have been watching forever or have, been around the business just a touch or whatever, might pick up on it because you see, I can't remember her ever having a bad match.
True.
I'm sure there's one or two out there. If you know what they are, throw the YouTube links down in the comments, please. But no,
Yeah, I think
seriously,
when she came back from sorry to interrupt you, but I think when she came back and was heading Damage Control, it's just she seemed kind of like watered down. She was rarely wrestling on the televised shows and stuff, and
well, I think she was put in that position again as a mouthpiece rather than
Yeah.
a wrestler to get the.
which she also does a great job at.
She does.
But it's been kind of a pleasure to watch her wrestle again and see everything that she does and is capable of in the ring.
Absolutely. And we are reminded by watching her that a belly to belly suplex is still not a finishing move, which is why I'm happy she's updated to the rose plant, which is a weird looking move, but I kind of dig it because I don't recall ever seeing it before. And she didn't get to hit it in the match. She won with just a reversal on a roll up, which was, it was a nice, quick surprise kind of pin. One thing I think has been missing from wrestling, particularly the WWE brand for a while, are those surprise wins where, it's not finisher, reverse the finisher, hit the other person's finisher, pin. Like, we're actually getting a pinfall. Like, in this match, we got a pinfall, but kind of like out of nowhere. It was just, like, it was almost like the ref said, hey, time, and boom, it just ended the match. But I liked it. It worked. It was something different. We didn't get some ridiculous everybody hitting their finisher on everybody and then everybody hitting each other's finishers. It was, I thought, exactly what it needed to be.
I'm always a fan of that when they can kind of surprise the audience. It's getting harder and harder to do in today's world with so many avenues of social media and
Yep.
But yeah,
idiots like me coming on the internet telling everybody what I think is going to happen. Yeah, no, I know. But okay, so rating on that. What did you think of that match? Let's do the 5-star gimmick again.
Let's get your rating first.
You want my rating? I think it was. I'm going to go with 3.75, and that's primarily because, the triple threats are always a little bit weird from a mechanical standpoint because you almost always have to have somebody powdered out on the outside of the ring to keep it one-on-one, and then that person slides in and does the breakup. And I thought it was very, very mechanical in that regard. All three women delivered in the match, and there's something about Naomi just making other girls, like, take her butt to the face that I am a fan of. That works for me.
Yeah, I'm somewhere in between a 3 and a 4. So
like 3.5,
yeah,
3.667.
I'll go with 3.5.
All right. So we're on the same page there. What do you think? If you're listening or watching or whatever, wherever you're listening and watching, drop in the comments what you think of that match.
And who was your favorite wrestler in that match?
Like, who
do you think performed the most out of the three?
Oh, who do you think performed the most? Or should we not even give our opinion? Just
I'll give my opinion. Okay, I gotta give it to Tiffy.
Yep.
I mean,
she has impressed the hell out of me.
Yeah.
I don't know,
but it was close.
It was.
I mean, they're all great competitors. So.
Yeah, but I think for how short she's been in this business, I mean, she put on a solid performance in that match. So yeah, that works for me. Okay, next we've got main event: Jey Uso in your city and Damian Priest for the. I can't even remember what they're naming these titles. I know I'm a podcast host and I can't even remember the name of the stupid title, but let's be honest here. They've changed it a few times.
The Seth Rollins title.
The Seth Rollins title. Yeah, it's going back to him when he shows back up. And if you don't believe me on that, you got your proof Saturday afternoon in France that they're not passing that thing around. They're just kind of keeping it warm for Seth, unless they're keeping it warm for CM Punk. But we'll talk about that maybe down the road. On another episode, because I've got a feeling that if it's not going to CM Punk or Seth, it's not going anywhere. Which, again, we'll talk about that down the road, because I think it's got to go somewhere.
Never know. I mean, it's less predictable now than it used to be. So
it is.
We could be surprised. I'm hoping for a surprise.
Yeah, hoping for a surprise. So you're kind of where I'm at right now, where that title maybe isn't where it needs to be.
I'm not a fan of Damian Priest holding it. I mean, I really like him. I think maybe in real life he's a great guy. And half of his matches are great, but half of them are not great. And I don't think he's champ material to hold the title and to command a main event type of match on his show. And I'm not a fan of it. And that's where I'm at on it.
Yeah, I liked his work with Bad Bunny. I thought that elevated him to the next level. And I'll be the first to admit, when he cashed in at Mania, that was my pop of the night. I was excited to see it. It was, for me, I think it was predictable, especially with Drew McIntyre still referencing getting screwed over by Damian Priest.
It was really well done, though.
It was very well done. I love the way they're booking, where they're bringing different angles into the feuds. It's not, the matches are mostly one-on-one, but there's other guys involved after the match, before the match, in the periphery. I'm a huge fan of that booking, because it opens up so many more avenues of things you can do. But I really thought Damian Priest would be a very, very temporary champion, because I like the guy, but I don't know. You go from somebody like Seth Rollins holding that title and making it mean as much as he can make it mean. I mean, it's a brand new title. It's hard to make it mean anything. But Seth Rollins worked his ass off to make it mean something. And I feel like it's almost relegated back to being a secondary title.
Yeah, I can see that.
On Damian. And I thought, with the way the crowd in France was, especially for Jey Uso, and how over he is.
Yes, I was just going to make that point.
And I fear that if they don't pull the trigger on Jey Uso in the next 90 days, that he's going to lose that momentum. That it's going to fall. He's going to get relegated. I mean, he's going to be in like a feud with Carlito or something in a few months if they don't.
I agree.
Capitalize on
and
him.
I think the WWE Universe fans have changed over the last 20 years, and now fans have more power than they ever used to have, where they can kind of command what type of champion they want to see. It's less of WWE just shoving whatever they want down your throat, and more of the fans championing for who they want to see. I mean,
Sami Zayn and Chad Gable. I mean,
Chad Gable was going to be my example.
Their stock is rising. So, I agree with you on that. I got to take a drink real quick.
It was a super hot crowd for France, but they were also super hot for Jey. So, I mean, the energy going on there was crazy. And I really think that as a champ, he would have, while he wouldn't be my first pick for champ, I think he'd have a lot of momentum with it, and he'd make it a really fun run.
I agree. I agree. And for those of you watching, don't mind me while I sip on the Prime. This is not sponsored content, but it's so damn good, and I'm really hoping Logan Paul writes me a check someday.
Get at us, future. Logan Paul.
So hit me up, Logan. Come on, buddy. Start writing some checks, man. I'll drink 100 of these a day. But seriously, yeah. I think where the title is at right now, and it's so hard because I don't want to knock anybody. Especially since wrestling fans are either on or off for every single guy. I really don't want y'all coming at us too. But I think like with the title on Damian Priest, I feel like you have an opportunity with, Seth Rollins and CM Punk being out to put that title on a few people in the next few months and see who can run with it. Because I think they missed an opportunity to not put that on Jey Uso last night, or the night before, and let him run with it. And the worst case scenario is he drops it back to Damian Priest in 4 weeks or whatever.
I think even taking it a step farther with this title, I think you could, until it's pushed off to one of your more bigger veterans like Seth Rollins or CM Punk or something like that. I think in the meantime, this could be a title that changes hands pretty frequently. I mean, it's not the main one. It's I really think that could be done in a way that doesn't cheapen the title. It doesn't have to feel like the 24/7 title type of thing. So, I mean, it would be kind of neat to see them do that. I didn't think there was a chance that Jay was going to get it, but it would have been cool to see. But
I'm right there with you. I think it would have been. I mean, even if you play hot potato with this thing for a few months, but
you never know. They might have a title change with this just on a regular night of TV. You never know.
That's true.
It's a little more unpredictable than it ever used to be. So.
That's true too. We could see it just change on a Raw on some random Monday.
I wouldn't be surprised.
But I am gonna counter that and say I would be 100% surprised.
I don't know,
because my hopes and my dreams and the reality that we live in are usually very different. And I think there's a huge opportunity to put some people over, to get some pops, I don't want to say give people a chance because that sounds like, make a wish or whatever. And that's not where we're at.
I don't know though. I think WWE's listening more and more to what the fans are wanting, and definitely more than they were 10 years ago.
Oh, yeah, more than they were 3 years ago.
And I mean, I think that anyone who's, in a decision-making position can clearly see how hot the crowd was specifically for Jay over Damian. So
I definitely agree with that.
I mean, I think that carries some weight, definitely.
That, yes. So we'll see what happens in the future. I'm going to make a bold prediction.
Let's hear it.
The internet's going to hate me for it.
Oof.
They never give it to Jay.
I don't think he'll ever get it either, but it'd be cool if he could get it, just even if it's a short run,
He's so over, but it looks like they're getting ready to team him back up with his brother once his brother's back in the mix to take on the bloodline again. And I just feel like he had an opportunity the other night to walk out with the championship, and I think it was a missed opportunity, and I think by the time they're ready to give it to him again, he's going to be on doing something else and not in the picture.
But again, maybe they'll pivot because they saw how the crowd was. You never know.
That is a fair assessment. Okay, so that match. Did we talk about the match?
We didn't rate it.
Okay. Damian Priest versus Jey Uso. And I'm going to be gentle on Jey here because I think the match he had with Jimmy at WrestleMania was the worst match of the night. Unless you're a huge fan of...
I agree, it was the worst match of the night. Of either night.
Super kicks not being fully extended.
Of either night.
Thrown in. Yeah, which is... So, this match was exactly, I think, what we thought we would see. The Judgment Day interfering in the end. Little tension in the Judgment Day. Damian Priest saying, "Leave me alone," which I think we're just building to the eventual breakup of the Judgment Day.
Stale. It's all stale now.
It's a little stale. Rhea doesn't need to be in there anymore. She's a face. The stable is our heel. I mean, she's not a face. She's like a Stone Cold face. Like, she's too cool to be a heel now.
There's a lot to talk about with the different factions that they have running, but we'll
Yeah,
address
for
that in a
another one.
separate. That's a whole other
Yes.
podcast.
Yeah, you and I have talked about that, and I'm sure that'll be an interesting episode when we get there.
So let me jump in with my rating for that. I'm gonna give it a 2.
Dude, that's mighty nice of you.
I'm gonna give it a 2, and I'm gonna say that Jay carried the match, which I normally wouldn't expect with a match with Jey Uso in it. But in this match, I think he carried the match.
I agree. I think Jay carried the match. I'm gonna give it a little more. I'm gonna give it a 2.75. I like these 0.75s, and my reason for that, I would have been with you around a 2, except for the fact that anytime JD McDonough gets hit in the face, we automatically add like half a star. It's just the default position. When that Cro-Magnon son of a gun gets knocked in the melon, I have to add stars to it. So that's where I'm going to land on that. Not a stinker, and it had the possibility to be that, especially given what really both guys, well, not both guys, Damian Priest's WrestleMania involvement was good. It was just short.
Actually, I'll even slightly amend it for where I'm coming from. I mean, this is a 2 for how wrestling is now. If it was a 2 for how wrestling was 5 years ago, it'd probably be a whole lot lower.
Oh, yeah. Oh, if this was WrestleMania.
But this is, I mean, it's already elevated from what it used to be.
Yep. Oh, if this was WrestleMania 8, that's a 5-star match right there.
Right.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I can't disagree with that. All right. The girls' tag team match.
All right.
Oh, boy. So, first of all, Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill are two of the coolest looking wrestlers, male or female, that I have ever seen. Mm-hmm. They both represent like superstars. They are phenomenally athletic and strong. And one of them is phenomenally green, and that's okay. Jade has been mostly well protected since coming to WWE. She did the Goldberg shtick in AEW where she was basically, squash matches and undefeated. And look at her. I mean, it makes sense. She could easily kick my ass. I'm not afraid to say that. But they went up against the Kabuki Warriors, it's always weird to me when they name a tag team and there was a wrestler named Kabuki. So are they his Warriors? No, it's just some other random recycled thing, but they've done that for a while and before. And again, this is a tangent I'm just not going to go down. But solid match, I thought, to start until weird referee and possibly illegal person not tagging in and trying to go for a pin.
I think there were some confusing moments later on in the match about who was tagged in and some mishaps where maybe the crowd couldn't, where it was a little bit harder to see exactly what the hell was going on.
It was a very hard to follow match.
I'm going to just step in, though, and just to go off on my own little tangent, because I cannot wait to see a Bianca Belair versus Jade Cargill matchup. It's going to eventually happen. I can't wait for it. I mean, I know it's going to be like a year, 2 year, maybe more away. But when it happens, whoo!
You think we're getting a heel turn, or do you think we're going face against face?
I can't even
imagine it?
I can't. I'm just too excited to see it.
Yeah, that's going to be great. And they teased that at the Royal Rumble, if you don't remember. And then teamed them up instead, which, again, they have a great way of making teams here in the WWE these days, don't they?
And that is a whole other podcast.
There seems to be just one simple criteria for how you pick who you're throwing together.
We've got the damn race wars going on at WWE right now, but that is a whole other podcast.
It's a whole other episode. We'll touch on that. Maybe you want to get back on that and maybe talk about it later this week or something.
Sure.
Yeah, absolutely, because it's interesting, and I'm sure you've noticed. But
I have.
So the match itself, I thought it started off strong. It had everything you want in a tag match. It had the hot tags. It had the baby getting beaten down, and it had everything you want. The heels cheating, just everything. And then halfway through the match, I don't know. I didn't rewatch it, and I should have rewatched it before coming on here. But the referee said that the pinfall didn't count because it was the wrong person, and if you look on the internet, some people are saying that's not the case, that it was the right group of people in the ring, and the referee screwed up. And then it got weird. Like, that instance right there in that match threw off the entire rhythm of the match.
It did.
And
it was very pacing and timing was really off after that.
From that point, there was a lot of moments where it was like, count to 3, do a move, count to 3, do a move. And on top of that, the Kabuki Warriors turned it into a tornado tag match without it being one. Like, they were just constantly in the ring together. The ref wasn't even doing a 5 count. The rules went out the window. The tagging in and out half went out the window. Like, even if you watch that part, the one thing that sticks in my head that I remember is the referee said, "No, you're not the legal woman in this match," and she goes to the corner and tags. And if you're not the legal woman, you don't need to tag out. Just get the hell out of the ring and let the legal woman come in.
Yeah.
But it was weird, and I think it confused everybody. And I think the downfall of all of that was, I think that was right when Jade was making her big monstrous assault. And I think she's too new to the industry to be able to have found a way to not get confused in that moment. And I don't know, it just kind of went off the rails until the finish.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say anything bad about Jade in that match. I thought she did good. I thought she did great. I'm a starstruck mark for Bianca Belair, and I have been from the first time I've ever seen her wrestle. I just think she's in a completely different zone of athleticism, and
she is.
It'll be insane to watch.
It'll be the pop of the year for me when she finally cuts that braid.
Mm-hmm.
I know. People like
she
the
uses
braid,
it so well,
and it's fun when you hear that slap against another woman's like flesh.
I think she took the slap once. It was nasty.
But I think she's beyond the point of needing that type of a gimmick. It feels very like a gimmick to me. It feels like Stan Hansen coming to the ring with a cowbell. Like, it just feels,
I don't know. I think it's okay for a while longer.
It's Jim Cornette's tennis racket.
I think it works for now.
It's Seth Rollins' fake laugh. I don't know. It's just something that doesn't. I don't know. I think it's time.
I don't think it's time.
Do it. Cut the braid.
I think that would necessitate a whole other change of. I don't think it's time for that.
Maybe she gets jealous of Jade, cuts the braid, heel turn.
Nah.
No. She's gonna send it to Locks of Love. If it's real, can I make that comment? Is that a safe comment to make?
I'm not going there.
Do we know? They had that TV show on Hulu or Amazon
I'm not touching
Prime
this.
or Sling or something and I remember seeing a screen cap where they teased that it was not hers, but I didn't watch the show. I can't watch those shows. They're so scripted, and I know wrestling itself is, but I just can't do it. Tell me, am I crossing a line here, or am I don't know. I think we can ask. We're still safe to ask, right? No?
I'm not going to ask.
If I said, where did you get your hair done? That's a compliment. We can ask about the hair.
I think it's not about the braid. It's about the wrestling.
Okay.
And they do an amazing job. And that match would have been amazing had it not been for all the confusion and mishaps later on in the match.
And the wrestling is so good she can cut the braid. Okay.
Crickets.
A boy can dream. Crickets. Yeah. No, it just feels like she's beyond needing it. That's all I'm saying. It just feels
on to the rating.
I just feel like she's beyond needing it. On to the rating. I'm going to give the women in the match 4.5 stars and the referee none.
I like it.
-2 for the referee.
I like it.
Because I don't know if it was fully on him or if there was some miscommunication on who the legal person was.
I'll give the ref a tiny bit of pass because that was a really high energy match. And I know I've said high energy multiple times, but it really was. Whether you like certain wrestlers in that match or not, or liked what the outcome was, they all definitely brought it. And they were all giving it their all in the whole match. They left it all out there. And I think that for the speed that it went, and there were not a lot of rest breaks in that match.
True.
And so maybe it was just too much for the ref to handle.
Could be. And the women worked. The women definitely worked. Okay, so yeah, we'll give the ref a break. And
tiny break.
And a demotion. No. just kidding. I'm just kidding. That was mean.
Well, no, I mean, if you're calling a pay-per-view, I mean,
I would rather have the referee think that this is what's going on and do it right than have him do it like a 3 count with the wrong person and just have the entire integrity of it all questioned anyway.
Yeah.
So, okay, credit where it's due. The referee did what the referee thought was correct, and whether that was the actual case or not, I'll have to go back and watch the match and see who the legal people were, and if the referee really did screw up, or if he was right and it just threw the whole momentum of the match out the window. Lastly, your main event...
Did we rate that?
Huh?
Oh, I didn't rate that one.
Oh, you didn't rate that. Oh, rate it. Rate it.
I was going to give it a 3.5.
3.5. Okay. New tag team champions, though. We do have new tag team champions.
That's very exciting. That's great. And
they deserve it. Clap, clap, clappy, clap. Right?
Yep.
Okay. Excellent. The American Nightmare Cody Rhodes versus the phenomenal AJ Styles, with the most interesting and annoying fan chant of the night.
France brought it.
Sacre bleu, or whatever it was fantastic.
Yeah, I was humming that in the shower, so I'm sick of hearing it now.
Funny how that works out, isn't it? Okay. What did you think of the match?
I thought it was amazing. I mean, anytime you get to see Cody Rhodes wrestle, it's magic. I've been a fan of his from the very beginning. It's just a pleasure to watch him.
You're going to get hate in the comments now.
I don't care. That's how I feel. I've loved him from the beginning.
You are a Cody crybaby?
I am.
All right.
And AJ Styles always amazing.
Yep. AJ
always amazing.
Here's what's funny about this match to me is I think it's so easy to forget how phenomenal AJ Styles really is.
It is.
That when this was the match announced for the pay-per-view, I was like, really? Like, is anybody excited to see this? It's just AJ Styles versus Cody.
I was. I really did buy in that it's kind of like a dream match.
So yeah, they seemed like they sold that idea kind of late in.
They did sell it late,
but
yeah.
So it was the two indie darlings, for whatever, who had to scratch and climb and claw to get there. I thought that they could have done a little bit of a better job selling that storyline.
I think it was a big enough matchup that it didn't need the storyline, but I will agree that they did kind of sell it sort of late. Yep, but you didn't really have to sell the fans on a match with Cody Rhodes and AJ Styles, though. They knew it would be great.
Agreed. It's just weird from where my brain was at, and I know I'm not everybody's brain, and everybody's brain isn't mine, but where my brain was at was when you're coming off of WrestleMania, which has Cody Rhodes and The Rock, and then Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns, and then 4 weeks later you have Cody Rhodes and AJ Styles. It felt like maybe that is a spot where Solo should have fit in. That would have been a worse match. I think we all agree on that, but it would have at least kept some consistency. It was kind of like all of a sudden Cody finished his story and the whole book got slammed shut, and now he's done with the bloodline, and we are over here doing other things, and that other thing is a match with AJ Styles. It just seems kind of so randomly thrown together.
It did kind of seem random, but I will say, since Cody came back to WWE, I think that when he wasn't feuding with Roman Reigns and they were doing all the other matches in between and stuff, because he couldn't have Roman didn't come to work often enough to be able to to feud with him every time he wrestled.
I don't hate him for that. If I could
I don't either, but I'm going to pick the little, things when I can. But I think that every other match that Cody's in that doesn't involve Roman is also, it just seems kind of hasty and thrown together. There's no real build up to feuds behind it. It's just kind of like they don't have anybody else to put him with, which is kind of crazy because Cody can wrestle with anybody and it's going to be an entertaining match.
It feels like we're just this is going to be an insult to AJ Styles, and I think the dude is again phenomenal, but it feels like we're just buying time to get to SummerSlam.
Yes.
For him to have the big title defense, whether it's against The Rock or a returning Roman Reigns.
Well, maybe there just wasn't enough time after WrestleMania.
That's possible too.
Maybe Backlash just came too quick.
Hey-o. No, seriously. Okay. Yeah. So the match itself, and again, I went into this with a very like a humdrum attitude. Like I wasn't excited about this, and the minute the bell rang, I was like, "Holy crap! Why was I not excited about this?"
I didn't know why you weren't.
This is
couldn't figure it out.
it on paper it was just like meh. And then the two guys get into the ring and they're facing each other down, and you're like, holy crap. Like, I don't think we've ever seen this before. It's two guys who are as self-made as you can be. Mm-hmm. Maybe AJ a little more than Cody, because, I consider Cody a self-made guy, but he's certainly had some help. But you've got these two guys that are like indie darling, phenomenal legends in future legends going at it. And from the minute the first punch was thrown, I remembered that I was excited for this match. It dawned on me.
That's a match to make people fall in love with wrestling again, with just the art of what wrestling was and is and will be, hopefully.
It was done incredibly well. I think that match was done so well that for a few minutes, you could think that AJ was actually going to win.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
I loved that feeling. That for just a few minutes, you're like, wait a second. There's no way this is going to happen. But you didn't know for sure.
Nothing was overdone. There weren't too many false finishes. There wasn't too much of the hokey stuff. I will say one of my favorite parts of that entire match, and I didn't expect it to be, because obviously Cody's always going to be my pick, but even though I like AJ Styles, but it's interesting to watch AJ Styles' transformation since he's been doing it for so many years, and I really liked, he's done a lot of high-flying stuff in the past, and it was really nice to see just the to-the-mat type of stuff.
Yeah, this was kind of that heel-focused AJ Styles ground game.
Yeah, just in it, just a long endurance. It was a really long time that they were in there. It was great.
I mean, he still got a little flippy towards the end, but that's...
It's okay. They both had some of that, but it's interesting to see. And again, it gives you a newfound or remembered appreciation for just how good he is in the ring.
Yep, absolutely. Something that blows my mind about him is that the Pele kick. And I've never been a huge, I've never exploded out of my seat when he hits it. It's a good move. It's fun. It's original. It's nice to see, but it's not a move that takes my breath away and blows my mind. But in this match, he was a little too far away from Cody Rhodes when he hit that Pele kick, and he still hit it spot on. And it dawned on me in that instance that AJ Styles has never, that I know of, missed a Pele kick, no matter where his opponent was positioned in the ring, which means he's upside down, spotting his landing, and kicking somebody in the head, or making it look like he's kicking somebody in the head. I've never seen him with that.
It's really kind of unbelievable how good the both of them are with their ring awareness and just everything that they've bring to the mat. I mean,
this was a match that I thought was better than what you could have expected on paper, because neither guy necessarily wrestles the full WWE Fed style, the Performance Center train you to do this, and this style. They picked some stuff up on the indies in Japan, in Mexico. There's a little more in the arsenal than the usual work to the hard cam, clothesline, turn him inside out, flex, pose, get the crowd reaction, next move. So it really, really was a great match, I thought, with elements that kind of dipped indie, but in the right way.
I loved the nods to Stardust.
Yes.
And how they kind of teased that, on the show before Backlash.
Yep, especially from Cody coming back saying he never wanted it mentioned and he hated it and everything. The fact that he's, at least on camera, in a position where he can acknowledge that was part of his life. I think that I like that. I enjoyed that.
But to divert from that, just for a quick second, not to go off on too much of a tangent, but how amazing that he could change his entire wrestling style to fit his character. I mean, some wrestlers in the ring now can't even do it for just their main style. I mean,
No, every gimmick
he's able to.
Yep, every gimmick he's had has had like a different. I don't want to say move set because that's such a generic term, but every gimmick he's had has been a different
style,
a different way of carrying himself in the ring. He's, there's a lot of Cody haters, and I understand it because, and I'm going to say something that some people will love and some people will hate, but Cody Rhodes is 2024's version of Hulk Hogan and John Cena, and he's the super over baby that the kids love. You get the hero worship from the kids and the women, but then you have like the guys, and I think most of the people that aren't Cody Rhodes fans are probably men between 25 and 40 who want the anti-hero. They like the edgy bad guy. Cody's a goody-goody. He is the
but he can do the edgy bad guy, and I think eventually we're going to see that from him again.
Hollywood Cody Rhodes.
Someday, hopefully not that, but someday down the road, I mean, we're going to see that from him, and he'll do it, and I'm sure I have no doubt he'll do an amazing job of it.
Yeah, no, it's definitely there, but I understand. I think a lot of the demographic I already named, when they see him crying, cutting promos, like the women are swooning and the kids are like, ah. And I think most of the young adult men are like, oh, what a B word. I don't know. This is me trying to keep our profanity to a minimum. Anyway,
I guess that's fair for some people, but I mean, even if you take away all the other stuff, the promos he cuts, all the other things that he does, the fact that everyone tries to make him cry when he's in a ring or a media scrum all the time. I mean, his just even if he couldn't even talk and he was foreign, just his wrestling alone is amazing enough that you're always going to be entertained when watching one of his matches. I mean, it's never boring. He always leaves it all out there.
I agree. And every promo he's in with somebody else, or every media scrum or whatever, the press conference, the first thing somebody always says is like, hey, I loved your dead dad. So yeah, no, I totally get.
I think it's just a thing that people just want to get him to cry now. It's
yeah. It's like trying to it's like being an SNL when you're trying to get your guy to crack up and laugh. It's let's make Cody cry. I like it.
Unfortunately, I mean that people hate that because it just shows how much passion that he has towards what he does. I mean, how rare is that now?
Agreed.
I mean, I could name some other wrestlers right now that don't share that same type of passion, but. Yep. Again, that's another podcast.
That's another podcast. Should we do that one? Okay. So, your overall opinions on the match and your star rating.
My star rating is a 10 out of 5.
10 out of 5.
I thought it was great. It gave me everything I wanted and more. And again, I'm going to say that always Cody Rhodes is great, but the standout for me in the match was AJ Styles because of watching his progression of his character and what he's, this new version of him, and also how he's able to still do the same amazing things he did when he was younger, but also kind of switch it up now a little bit,
I'm right there with you. I'm not as generous with my stars. I like to hold. Sorry, it's Cody, so I got to say my flowers. I got to hold on to my flowers just a little bit tighter. It's a 4.5 for me. I thought it was a really, really good match. It was solid. It was.
So what's it going to take to get a 5-star rating from you?
It was something that stands out as exceptional is what it would take. And I thought the match hit all the fundamentals. I thought it was everything it needed to be, but I didn't think they added anything a little extra. And the Cody cutter off the top rope almost ended badly for AJ Styles. If you watch that again, you can see that Cody's momentum was taking him backwards. And that's a weird move to take because it's a front bump on a move that's coming to push you. So you're getting pushed, but you go forward to take it. So it's a little awkward. But AJ, I don't know if Cody came off way too hot or if AJ was too close, but AJ almost went backwards and then kind of just crumpled down to take it. And that was scary for half a second because it did not look pretty. And I just had visions of a quad tearing or an ankle breaking or something.
It was a long match, though.
It was. But it was good. It wasn't like tedious long. I thought it was like edge of your seat the whole time. It had a very with the exception of some of, the high flying and the moves that wouldn't have been done, it did kind of have almost like an old Iron Man match from like the 80s kind of territorial days, where it was just two guys kind of slugging on each other, 50-50 kind of offense where each guy was getting in the punches and then taking the hits. Overall, yeah, 4.5. I thought it was a good match, and it did everything it had to do. Both guys left that match looking good.
Yes, it did.
Which when you're losing, sometimes your stock can plummet if you lose and look bad doing it. But
I'm going to still make one more point that it was an exceptional match. And the reason why I think that is because, not just because I'm a fan of both wrestlers, but also because, you could truly see the passion and the love for the sport the whole time the both of them were in the ring. And they really made you buy what they were selling. And I thought it was great.
They did. I did. Yes, I had buy-in. I can agree with that. It was.
I think in this era of, past, how people have brought, tables, ladders, and chairs, and the crazy jumps and the crazy, falls and everything. I think that sometimes people are looking for something amazing like that to happen, when the amazing stuff is just right in the ring with just a knock 'em out, drag 'em out type of match.
Agreed.
And they're underrated nowadays, those matches.
Yep. And here's one thing I did really, really like about that match, and I agree with everything you just said, is we're allowed to say wrestler. Not we. We could say whatever the hell we want. But the WWE, it's not sports entertainment anymore. That's going by the wayside. They're wrestlers again.
Really?
Yeah. You pay attention to the verbiage. It's wrestling. It's pro wrestling. They're wrestlers.
Well, I'm going to call them what I want because I'm a paying fan.
Yeah,
so.
I know that. But Cody Rhodes versus AJ Styles was in fact a wrestling match. Mm-hmm. It wasn't sports entertainment. Yes, it was entertaining, but it was a wrestling match. So that's how I leave that.
Yeah, I think a match like that is very. I'm not going to say it's few and far between, but. That with so many different gimmick things they try to do and triple threat matches, and I think that this type of a match is very underrated and gets lost by the wayside often.
I agree. So the pay-per-view on a whole, what's your rating? Backlash from Lyon, France.
Out of a 5, I'm going to say a 3.5 to a 4, somewhere in there.
I thought it was a good 3.
That's fair.
And
I don't disagree.
Only because it, with the exception of the women's tag team titles, it didn't really do anything to change anything. It didn't move it moved the Bloodline story forward because we've got a new member. That is probably the highlight of the night, and it was the opening match. But
we're at a point where just regular TV is moving the Bloodline story forward week to week. So it didn't really need a pay-per-view to do it. My higher rating is going to be for just the caliber and quality of the wrestlers involved in this pay-per-view.
Yep.
We have some really great stars/wrestlers, and
I would have liked to see another match or two. I think 5. Yeah. I'm hoping the French fans got 2 or 3 opening matches that just weren't on the pay-per-view.
I was shocked it was just short. It seemed like a really short pay-per-view.
Every match was long. Everybody got their time.
Maybe travel was just an issue for some people, or passports or something.
It could be. But speaking of going long in time, I think it's time to wrap up episode 1 of the Corner Post podcast.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much. We'll see you on the next one.